Hello, my name is Frank, and in this video I plan to make some rice and um, basically some rice to go along with this product that I just found at Aldi. And something that I learned this past winter was that when you find a good deal at Aldi, sometimes that deal goes away soon after you find it. Like, they buy some products and those products won't always be available. They're like seasonal. They might come back the next year, but I'm afraid that this might disappear. So I'm going to go ahead and make this video right now, which shows how I'm going to cook the General Tso's chicken, even though I've never yet used this product. But I want to get it out there as quickly as I can, because last time when last winter when they were selling these things and I wanted to do a video about how convenient these are, they went off the market. They were no longer available when I was ready to make the video. So I want to make this video as quick as I can so that I can post it as quick as I can, so that somebody might be able to buy the product and use it before it disappears. Okay, and I think my camera only has about 15 minutes left in its memory card, so I'm going to try to do this quickly. And I believe what we have here is fully cooked. If it's not fully cooked, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to turn the camera off. Does not say it's fully cooked. Okay, well, nuts. Come on, people. Say it's fully cooked. Well, that's... Yeah. Okay, because it's saying here that you need to heat the product to a minimum internal temperature of 165 degrees, I'm not going to show how I cook this. So I'm just going to make the rice for it, and I'm going to cook this separate because I don't have a battery. I don't currently have a battery for my digital thermometer, my meat thermometer. You know, you'd stuff that inside the meat and it'll give you the reading. But I don't have the battery for it, so we're just going to focus on making the rice in this video. So I'll put this back in the freezer. And let's do the rice. It shouldn't take long. It's a 1.5 quart saucepan that the handle has come off of, but it's my only tall 1.5 quart saucepan. Here's another 1.5 quart saucepan that you can see is shorter, and as the rice, or as grains in general, boil, they tend to like bubble and like a foam rises. And the taller your pan is, the less likely that foam is to, or the bubbles are to drip out and cause a mess on your stovetop. So I'm not going to use the shorter 1.5 quart saucepan. I'm going to use the taller 1.5 quart saucepan. Okay. And if you're wondering what size your saucepans are, an easy way to do that would be to take a cup, fill the cup with water, and see how many times do you have to pour a full cup of water in. If it's if 6 cups of water go into your pan, then it's a 1.5 quart pan. If only 4 go in, then it's a quart saucepan. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this rice. So again, this came from Aldi. I like brown rice. I like organic, so I'm using organic brown rice here. And I'm going to fill this, not completely, I'm going to put this maybe to about 5 ounces worth of dry rice. You know, I should show that these little jars have gradations on them. So that would be 2 ounces right there. That would be 4 ounces. I don't know if that's evident on the camera. 4 ounces. That would be 6 ounces. Up here would be 8, but I'm going to stop at about 5 ounces. And I've run out of this brand of organic brown rice. So, you know what, I've got a whole nother bag right here, but I'm gonna go ahead and mix it. I'm gonna go ahead and use some of this brown rice too. Again, it's organic, germinated brown rice. The other one's not germinated. But variety is a good thing in cooking. Variety is beneficial for health. So, there you can see we're at about 5 ounces. Let's see, where's it at? There's 4 ounces, there's 6 ounces. Somewhere in between would be 5 ounces, and the rice level is in between my thumbnails. So that's about 5 ounces. Go ahead and pour that in. Then I'm going to put about 15 ounces worth of water, cold water. So let's go over by the sink. So that's going to be 3 times the 5 ounces. In other words, when you're cooking rice, you want to do about a 3-to-1 ratio of water to rice. In general, that's a good general rule of thumb. Okay, so then I've got different size burners on this stove. I don't know if you can tell from that perspective. Let me make it super clear that this burner over here is smaller than this burner over here, and I'm going to use the smaller burner. And there's 2 reasons I'm using the smaller burner. One is so that the flame isn't larger than the circumference of the pot while I'm trying to get it to boil. And then 2, this larger area of flame would be too hot for me to just simmer the rice for the majority of time. In other words, it's going to take about a half hour to cook the rice, and it's going to take about 4 or 5 minutes to get it to boil, and then the other 25 minutes or so is going to be at a simmer. And if I was over here, that simmer would be too much of a boil, and the bubbles in the rice, the foam, would come out and spill onto the stovetop and make a mess. So I want the ability to go to a very low flame. That's why I'm using the smaller burner. Again, I'm using a tall 1.5-quart saucepan, roughly 5 ounces of rice, roughly 15 ounces of water, cold water, to start with, and then a lid. And this lid did not come with the pot, but it's good enough. Just like the pot without a handle is still good enough. It gets the job done. So I'm going to go ahead and ignite the, oops, that's the wrong one. Ignite the flame. And I'm going to let it get to a boil. Once it starts boiling, I'll go ahead and turn the camera back on again. So for right now, I'm going to turn the camera off, and then I should be able to just splice the next video into this video. So yeah, right now I'm just waiting for the cold water and the rice to begin to boil. Okay, well, the water has just started to boil. The water with the rice has just started to boil. And I'll go ahead and take the camera to show. And you can see how that foam was starting to rise up within the pot. And I'm going to go ahead and let it boil. You know, to let it boil with the lid kind of off. And that way you can see when the foam, see how that foam would come up and start spilling over and make a mess. So that's one of the reasons why I like a tall pot when I cook rice or grains in general, or a tall saucepan. Anyhow, I'm going to let this boil for roughly 2 minutes. So roughly another minute I'll let it boil, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn it down, turn the heat down. So when that clock gets to 9:33, I'll go ahead and turn the heat down. Of course, lifting the lid off lets the steam escape, and the steam is the hottest. The steam is very hot, that's why it's turned to a vapor, and so when you lift the lid out, when you remove the lid, you let the steam out. That means you're letting a lot of heat out of the system, and then those bubbles can subside. Okay, so now the time is 9:33. So go ahead and put the lid back on, and I'll turn this. It had been at about 3.5. Now I'll turn it closer to 1.5. And if the steam were to, see how it's starting to bubble again, so now I'll go even lower. So I just turned it all the way completely down, as low as it'll go, while still having flame. I don't know if you can see the flame there. My camera might not pick up the flame. But you can see, even with the setting as low as it'll go, we're still getting, and even though we're using a tall saucepan, 1.5-quart saucepan, we're still getting some bubbling, which could eventually accumulate enough to spill over onto my stovetop. So I'm gonna create just enough gap there to let enough steam out so that we don't get that spillover. You know, it might be intuitive to think that if you create a gap there, you're going to assist in making spillover, but that's not the case. When it's completely sealed off, you're sealing in the heat, and the heat is what's contributing to the bubbling, and the bubbling is then what causes the spillover. So by creating the gap, you reduce the heat, you reduce the likelihood of spillover. Okay, now I'm just going to let that simmer like that for roughly 25 minutes, meaning when that clock says 10 o'clock, I should be ready to turn this heat off and then let the covered rice sit for about 5 minutes, and then it should be ready for me to consume. I think that's it. I think that'll be it for this video. I hope that helps with your experiments in trying to make rice. Bye.